Hi, this is Matthew Tringali with Better Who, and in this video, we're going to talk about whether or not you need your processes really dialed in before you hire a remote team member. This is a common thing that a lot of property managers will say to me is, well, I really know that I want to hire a remote team member, but I need to get my processes in place and all set up and very well organized and set up before I hire that remote team member. That way, once I'm onboarding the remote team member, I'll have all of the process documented, the checklist set up, the software in place, so that really they can just start using it. It'll make their experience a lot better. And I do understand that mindset. There is some rhyme or reason why that makes sense. But it's also expressive of a limiting belief of what a remote team member is capable of doing or not doing. So the first thing I want to mention about that is there's a reason why you don't have your processes where they are today, the way you want them to be. And most typically, the reason why you haven't yet done what you want to do with your processes is because of limited human resource capacity on your team, right? So all the staff that you have on your team right now, they're very busy just getting their jobs done, getting the work done. You keep saying like, oh, I need to get this information out of your head. We need to document our processes, or we need to take our processes and put them into this process software and make them dynamic and make them easier to follow. But it hasn't happened yet. And the reason it hasn't happened yet is because nobody has time, energy, or maybe nobody has the right expertise on your team to do it. So this idea that you all of a sudden are now going to be able to prioritize and have the time to do it is probably unlikely. You're probably not going to get it done the way you want to get it done, because the first thing you need is another person on your team to create that extra bandwidth in the workload to get this thing done. Okay. And so that's where the remote team member can come in to provide that bandwidth necessary. Now, so what happens when you hire a remote team member and you don't have your processes done? There are a couple of different things that can happen in a very positive manner. One of the things that can happen is there is somebody on your team right now that this is their unique ability to think in terms of processes, to document it, get it set up, get all the team trained, but they don't have time to do that right now. So the very first thing you can do when you bring on this remote team member is take things off of that person's plate. So go to that person and say, hey, what are the things you're doing right now that you shouldn't be doing so that you can instead be focused on the company's processes? That's now, whatever the answer to that question is, that's now the job description of what we need to hire a remote team member for first for your company. So we go out, hire that remote team member, get them trained up and doing that thing, even though the process isn't documented yet. And now it frees up that right person on your team to be that process architect. And now that's going to help everything get better from there. Okay. The other thing that can happen is the level of talent when you hire direct with a remote team member, like we do here at Better Who, is much higher than probably what you're currently thinking. There's a lot of limited belief around what the capabilities are of remote team members because of the way it's been done so long. But now when you hire direct, these are folks who, a lot of them have master's degrees. Some of them are engineers by training, doctors by training, have PhDs, speak many languages, have various level of education, expertise, experience, right? They're bringing a lot of value to the table. So for a lot of these remote team members, even if you don't have somebody on your team right now that's the right person to really own the process architecture of your company, the remote team member can actually help fill that gap. So one of the very first things you can do when you bring your remote team member on is say, great, the first thing I need you to do is start documenting all of the processes you see as part of your training. Have them do that documentation work. Have them then take that documentation and put it into the process software, and so on and so forth. So whether it's somebody else on your team or it's the remote team member that's going to do this, the bottom line is we need to give you more capacity, more bandwidth with your staffing in order to get you where you want to be with your processes. Thank you so much.